All right, so now that we know how to graph our sine and cosine graphs, we want to have a go at identifying some of the key features. So we will still get to a, h, and k, but for right now we just want to give them some special names, particularly for circular functions. So the first definition we should already know, which is maximum. Okay, that's simply the highest value of the function. So for both of them, that's going to be 1, because that's the highest the functions get without any transformations. The minimum, of course, is the lowest value of the function. This is a new one, the median value. Okay, so what that is it's the value of the value in the middle of the maximum and minimum. You can just kind of eyeball it by saying, well, what's the minimum, what's the maximum, and then looking halfway in the middle. But if you do want a formula for it, it is the maximum plus the minimum divided by 2. Okay, so that'll tell you what's exactly in the middle, which is the median value. It can often be helpful to draw a horizontal line at the median value to help you figure out some of the other key features. The next is the amplitude. It's our a value that we've been talking about with our transformations. So for a circular function, it's the difference between the maximum or the minimum and the median value. Okay, so it's the distance between that either peak or valley and the median value. To figure that one out, it's the maximum minus the minimum divided by 2. Now our next 4 key features, we've got the period. This is something that's probably new to most of you. Okay, so it's the domain required for one full cycle of the function. So to get back where it started. So for sine, it starts at y equals 0, and then it goes through the full loop and it gets back to where it started. So it has to complete the whole pattern, so up, down, up, and then that's called the period. So the x value on the medians, well, that's wherever the x value crosses the median. And then our good old y-intercept, which is where x is equal to 0. And then to figure out if it's a sine or a cosine graph, well, the sine starts at the median value, whereas the cosine graph starts at the maximum. So let's have a look at our good old y equals sine graph. There it is on the screen for you. Okay, so we want to be able to identify those key features for this graph. So the first one's the maximum. Well, the absolute highest that graph gets is y equals 1. The minimum, well, the absolute lowest that gets is y equals -1. The median value, so halfway between the max and the min, well, that's of course at 0. Okay, so right along here, I could get -1 plus 1 divided by 2 is 0. So I can use that formula. The amplitude is the distance between either the max or the min and the median. So this distance here, that's also 1 in this case. Pretty boring. 2 pi is the period. So that's the time it takes to do one full cycle before it starts to repeat again. So after 2 pi, it's just the exact same thing. So the period is 2 pi. And then where it crosses the median, well, it crosses at 0, pi, 2 pi, actually any multiple of pi, it's going to cross. And then our good old y-intercept is at 0. Next up, our good old cosine graph. Maximum, also 1. Minimum, also 1. Median, also 0. Amplitude, also 1. You'll notice it's not a whole lot different than the sine graph yet. Period, also 2 pi. So to get from the absolute where it starts to get back where it started, well, that is going through a full cycle of 2 pi. This is what's different about the cosine, where it crosses the median. Well, it crosses the median at odd multiples of pi on 2. So it's going to cross it at pi on 2, negative pi on 2, negative 3 pi on 2, 3 pi on 2, 5 pi on 2, and so forth. And its y-intercept, that should be a 1. Make sure that's a 1. Okay, so that's our key features of our 2 graphs. We can, of course, identify the key features of any graph that has transformation, and that's what your homework is for today.